Mm-mm-mm. Perfection. Perfection. All right, now we're gonna try the cassava dumpling. Mm, look at that. Look at that. It's perfect, guys. You guys guessed it. Congrats to our winners. Chaya is my favorite green, and okra is my favorite vegetable, my favorite fruit, which is often eaten as a vegetable. Now, today's video, we're going to do some harvesting of some chaya and our okras, and we're going to head to the kitchen where I'm going to cook up the most sumptuous dish with saltfish and okra with some chaya. So guys, you're gonna see why I love this dish so much and why these two made it to the top of my list of favorites in the garden for this year. So guys, let's get started. Is you gotta pick your okra daily once they start coming in. Once you forget them and they get too big like these two long ones here, these are like probably 8-9 inches long, then you cannot eat them. They get very woody. All you can do with these is basically dry them. I know a lot of people say leave them on the bush to dry or on the plant to dry. You can do that if it's the end of the season. Otherwise, it's really important to pick your okras daily, because when you don't pick your okras, it sends a signal to the plant that you've had enough and you don't need any okra. So I go in every day and I snip my okras. Sometimes I miss a day, that's why you're gonna see some are a little bit bigger. But you can see, like here, one is maybe like 2 inches long, the other one is 4 inches long. This is like the perfect size. In the mouth. Here are the different stages of the okra. Here you see these flowers have not opened yet. So you can see I have quite a bit of okra coming because I keep picking them daily. Then the flower opens up and the okra flower is so beautiful. Such a beautiful flower. And then after the flower falls off, you'll see it at this stage. You see the tiny little okra emerge. And then by later that day or the next day, you'll see it at this size. And then by tomorrow, I'll be able to pick that one. So I have several buds coming out all over. Be sure that you don't miss your okra. See, I have some more in here that I need to catch, that I need to get. And I'm doing this with one hand, guys. So trying to balance the camera, balance the phone, and pick. Ooh, here's another big one I missed. Yeah, so the more you pick is the more they bear fruit. As you see here, I have these two huge ones. I actually have more inside that when I went away for the weekend, I missed them. So when you get them like this, even though it's best to dry them, keep them on the plant until they're fully brown, fully dry. Then right before they split, you just take them off, shake out the seeds and save them. You can also save them when you pick them like this. I'll put this in a cupboard in a dark area, and maybe like a week or two from now I'll go back and check, and once they're fully dry I can harvest the seeds. Alright guys, so that's it for the harvest. That's it for the tips. Pick them before they get big. Try and pick them daily or every other day at least, and the more you pick, the more you grow. Alright guys, let's go in, and I'm gonna make some okra and saltfish, and I'm gonna add another one of my new favorite ingredients. I'm gonna add some chaya, tree spinach. Guys, it took me like a whole year to actually try chaya. Chaya is known as a gift. They call it a God's gift, I believe, in some parts of Mexico. It's native to the Yucatan Peninsula. Guys, this cures so many diseases. I'm gonna put some of them across the screen as I harvest here. As I said, they believe that this heals over 100 diseases. Of course, guys, I am not a doctor. I am not trying to be a doctor, and I'm not giving any medical advice. So you guys have to do your own research. I'll put some of the conditions on the screen, but you guys do your own research always before trying anything good. Guys, even if something is good and healthy, you know, depending on what medications you're on, you could have a reaction with your food. So do not just take something from, you know, a backyard farmer. Don't take an advice from a backyard farmer. Do your own research. All right, so here it is, guys, nice and cleaned up. Brought everything inside. Made sure to wash my chaya well, you know, wash the leaves off. Even though they're on the tree, you know, you never know if any little insects are on there. So wash it off well. And here are my beautiful okras, guys. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait. This is probably the biggest harvest I've had so far at one time. But I have, you know, like the bigger ones, they're all still a good size, but the bigger ones are probably cut in two, so they cook easily. Probably just need to use one of my scotches. The other ones are, other peppers I'll put away. But guys, this is it, all washed up and ready to go. Guys, I cannot wait. I'm so excited. All right, so I have my green bananas. This is gonna be my starch. When you boil green bananas, when you eat them green, very green, and you boil them, it's just the same as eating a yam or eating some potatoes instead of eating like bread or rice. So this is gonna be my starch. I may make some dumplings too, not sure yet. But I'm gonna get the bananas, which take probably 20 minutes to boil. I'm gonna get those started boiling right away. I'm also gonna boil my chaya. I've washed my chaya leaves, and this, so chaya, guys, chaya is toxic if you just eat it like this. You cannot eat raw chaya leaves. They must be cooked. They contain cyanide, just like how cassava contains cyanide if you don't cook it. Chaya is the same thing. It contains cyanide. Recommendations online show 5 to 10 minutes. I always boil it like 15 minutes because some of these are bigger leaves. They say for young tender leaves 5 to 10 minutes is fine. Technically I could boil this 5-10 minutes since I'm going to cook it in my meal, but I prefer to boil it too long rather than too short. Chaya also, the wonderful thing about chaya is that even if you boil it for 30 minutes, it still maintains its shape. It doesn't just fall apart like normal spinach would. So I have quite a bit of chaya here. We're gonna boil this. Already have my water boiling. I'm gonna drop my chaya in, and I'm gonna drop some bananas in the same water. Bananas will weigh it down. I'm actually gonna put a couple bananas in also with my saltfish. So this is a 10-ounce packet of wild caught pollock. So in Jamaica they have bacalao or codfish, which is the real Jamaican saltfish. It's a lot more expensive than having pollock. And the pollock, to me, you can't tell the difference. This is like a half a pack because I used a half a pack the last time I used it, because guys, let me tell you, when you cook down that okra and that chaya, it is so delicious. You don't even need meat. But I love okra and saltfish. It's like one of my favorite breakfast dishes. So I'm gonna use this piece of pollock. So instead of me just dropping it in the water with this salted bacalao, you have to wash it. You have to wash it a good amount of time because it's packed with salt. You can see all that whiteness, that's salt. So what I normally do is I rinse off the excess salt well before I boil it. Then I'm gonna boil it for like probably 20 minutes and then pour that water off and then use the fish. If you want a little bit more salt in it, you can boil it 15 minutes instead. But you know, we don't need all that extra salt. So after boiling it for 20 minutes, it will still have a little bit of salt, but just enough to flavor it, not to overpower it. So let me go ahead and wash this off. You can see I'm washing it, opening it up, so all the excess salt is off. Go ahead, drop that in the pot. It will take the same amount of time to cook the banana, so we'll be back in 20 minutes. Now I'm gonna dice up my onion. I'm using 4 cloves of garlic, and guys, these things, onion, garlic, tomatoes, these are all to taste. The only thing I'm missing is some thyme. I'm gonna grab some thyme also, get a few sprigs of thyme. So I'm gonna dice this up, dice up my onion. If you prefer your onions in slices, you can do that. I have half a tomato here. That's a little bit on the soft side. I'm gonna dice that up, and I'm gonna use a Scotch bonnet. I don't need these. These are just what I picked earlier. So this is what I'm gonna use And I'm gonna grab a couple pieces of
All
thyme.
right, guys, let's make something special. All right, so here I have like a cup of flour. To the flour, I'm gonna add a little salt, and guys, we're gonna make some cassava dumplings. So for regular dumplings, all you need is a little salt, a little flour, and water. You don't even need salt if you don't want to put the salt. But literally, you can make dumplings with two ingredients. But today, instead of water, I'm gonna use some cassava that I have. So make sure you stir up the salt really well in the flour. That way you're not biting on chunks of salt. Again, the salt is optional. You want to make sure you're not using self-rising flour because we're making boiled dumplings, and of course if you use self-rising flour it's not gonna come out right. Here is my cassava. I've already microwaved it. What I do is whenever I harvest cassava, I actually cook it fully first and then freeze it so I can use it however I want. I can fry it, I can boil it, I can make cassava dumplings, I can do anything with it. So here I've added some water to it while I microwaved it, and then I mashed it out so it's almost like a mashed cassava. So instead of me adding water to my flour, which is the normal way of making dumplings, I'm adding the mashed cassava. Then I'm gonna just blend this in with the flour and salt to make my cassava dumplings. And I'm making boiled cassava
Here
dumplings.
we go. Instead of adding water, I'm adding the mashed cassava, which in itself has water because I added water to the cassava when I mixed it up. So I'm just gonna mix this in. Any little fibrous things that I feel from the cassava, I'll remove. I feel something here. So any little pieces like this. Ooh, this is like a little piece of fiber from the cassava. You just take that out because you don't want to bite down on that when you're eating a nice boiled dumpling. So this feels nice and soft. Might need to add a little bit more flour to get the right texture. And then this is gonna be my boiled dumpling with cassava. It's coming together, guys. You can see it's coming together. Just mixing it. You want to get into a nice ball. I don't think I might not even need to add any more flour, guys. I think this is going to be it. It's looking good. And I say it all the time, and I have to say it again. Nothing beats getting your own fresh food from your own backyard. And this cassava, let me tell you the wonderful thing about harvesting and freezing. It tastes like it was just picked yesterday. And this is a cassava I picked maybe a month or two ago that I harvested. All right. There we go. And I think I'm gonna get my son to hold the phone so I can show you how I'm gonna actually form the dumplings, and then we're gonna drop them in the water. My chaya leaves are fully cooked now, so I just shifted the pot so I can use this burner to start cooking down everything. I also took out the saltfish. You can see the saltfish literally broke apart. And one thing I advise, always taste a piece of the thicker part of the saltfish just to make sure it's not too salty. Perfect. The heavy salt is gone, but you can still taste a slight salt and flavor. So I have my fire on a medium high. It's on 6 here, or between 5 and 6. So as soon as the oil is hot, I'm gonna add my garlic and onions. So you want to hear that nice sizzle when you throw your veggies in. So I have my garlic, my onions, a little bit of scotch bonnet. I just use a small slice of scotch bonnet because my scotch bonnet is pretty spicy. So you can see I left most of the seeds in. I think I only added like 2 or 3 seeds. I can always add more, but I don't want it overly hot. So I'm gonna saute the onions and garlic for a minute or 2. You kind of want this to start getting a little bit translucent. I don't like to bite on chunks of onion or chunks of garlic, so I always like to just saute this for like a minute or 2. Then I'm gonna add in my saltfish. And usually, guys, as I said, you can use a whole pack of saltfish, but I find that the okra and everything is just so flavorful that I don't need a whole lot of saltfish. Just a little bit of saltfish goes a long way, but you can always use the whole pack of saltfish. If you want to add a little complete seasoning, I love badia, that's my favorite. It's almost done, but you don't need a lot of seasoning because, as I said, everything's going to come together, but this really does pull the flavor together. So just a little dash of badia. You can also add a little dash of onion powder, and this is just a plain onion powder. Add some black pepper. You kind of frying the saltfish a little bit at this point. Then I'm gonna dip a little of the chaya water. Instead of adding regular water, I'm just gonna add a little water here. You can do the same thing with your saltfish water. If your saltfish water isn't too salty, you can add the saltfish water. I'm gonna throw in my tomatoes. And I still haven't made it outside to get some thyme. I think I'm gonna run outside, grab the thyme, and I'm gonna use a broadleaf thyme, but I'm just gonna use like one leaf diced up. I'm gonna let this cook down a little bit for maybe 2 minutes, just to break down all of these garlic and everything, and then I'm gonna add the okra and then cover it up. Then we're gonna do the chaya. I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do with the chaya. Is my broadleaf thyme. I'm just gonna dice this up and add it in, or you can just tear it up. Just tear it up and add it in. You don't want this to dry out. So once you add the okras in there, make sure that you add enough water so it doesn't dry out. See, it's already drying out. I literally ran outside for 1 minute. So at this point, I'm gonna add the okra in. Then we're gonna add some water and let it steam down. And let the magic happen. Let the magic happen. Let's make the okra boil up and then cook for like maybe 5-10 minutes till the okra is tender. Because guys, remember the chaya is fully cooked, but we just want the chaya to get the flavor of everything else. So you want to give this, I'm going to say 10 minutes. I'm going to check the okra in 10 minutes to make sure the bigger pieces are soft. And then once they're soft, I'm going to add the chaya. All right, so here's the chaya, guys. After 20 minutes, the pieces are still together. It's almost like, chaya is almost like a grape leaf texture. This would actually be excellent if you wanted to make wraps. But I really do like the flavor, and I love that the texture is just together. So before I add it, I don't want to have big leaves like this, so I'm going to dice this up. Same way, it's very hot still. Same way you dice up like if you're making callaloo. You know, when you're making callaloo, you cut the leaves up small. It's the same way I dice up my chaya when I'm adding it to my okra dish. You can also boil the chaya. If you want to boil the chaya and just freeze it in cubes, you can do that. So you can add it to your dishes or your soups whenever you want to. So I slice it one way, I'm slicing it the other way. I'm just making sure we don't get any big chunks of chaya. And as you notice, I only use the leaves. I didn't use the stems because I have more than enough. One thing I didn't mention with the chaya, you have to use either stainless steel or non-stick. You don't want to boil the chaya in aluminum pots. I'm not sure what it does to the chaya, but I saw several websites that said do not boil the chaya in aluminum pots. So make sure when you're making your chaya, you use stainless steel. When you're boiling it, you use stainless steel or non-stick. So I boiled it in non-stick, and the pan that I'm cooking the okra in is stainless steel. So now the chaya is nice and tender. Yep, nice and tender. Once I add it to the okra, it's gonna absorb that flavor. So we're gonna add the chaya the last maybe 3 minutes of the okra cooking. All right, so it's been about 10 minutes and the okra is fork tender. So now time to add a chaya for the last 5 minutes so that the chaya can soak up the flavor of the saltfish and the okra. Some of you might be a little bit, some people like their okras a little firm. So I love my okras super soft. I don't mind it super soft and even on the slimy side. So if you guys like it a little bit firmer, just cook your okra like for 5 minutes before you add the chaya. I'm gonna add a little bit more water here because you can see the okra and the fish soaked up all the little water, and you wanna have your gravy. But I'm tossing it around because I wanna make sure. Remember, I didn't add any salt to the chaya because I knew the saltfish that I was gonna be adding the saltfish, it has a little salt, and I added complete seasoning. So I didn't want it to be overly seasoned. You can always add seasoning, you can't take it away. So guys, look at that. Look at that, guys. Just gonna add a little bit of water, probably some of the chai water or maybe some of the saltfish water, and let it cook down. And let's check on our dumplings. Dumplings I may cook in probably 20 minutes now. Yep, nice and firm. Yeah, look at this, guys. Woo. Look at the dumplings, they are ready. All right, so let's turn the dumplings off. And I'm gonna take a little bit of the liquid that would have a little bit of the salt flavor and add it to this. I add a little bit of the chai water. You can just use the water from the pipe. I'm just doing this because, you know, it's there. Normally when I'm cooking chaya, when I'm boiling it, I don't add any salt to it because I often use a liquid. If I boil it by itself, I use a liquid and drink it like chaya tea. Chaya tea has so many nutritional benefits. So I'm using the leaves and I'm also using the water as tea. Cover it back up and give it the last 5 minutes. All right, it's been 5 minutes, and guys, look at that. It's looking absolutely wonderful. So I turn my stove off. I've already started peeling the bananas, and I want to show you when you boil the bananas in the skin. A lot of people peel their skin off before, but it's really not necessary. When you boil the banana in the skin, it just easily comes off. I'm using one hand and it just slides off easily. So save yourself a few minutes by not worrying about it. These bananas, as I said, were slightly ripe, but it's all fine. It's all good. And guys, my dumplings came out perfectly. I can't wait to try it. So let me get some of this on the plate. I really love okra, guys. I really love okra. So I'm gonna get some extra okras on here. Get a little one on here. Get my okras on here, guys. Ooh, look at that. So, oh gosh, I can't wait to taste it. Where is my fork? Get a cassava dumpling on here. As I said, it's my first time using it with fully cooked cassava, but hey, it should work. And a green banana. And you know, we Jamaicans, we like our gravy. Put a little bit of gravy on that dumpling. All right, so all right, what am I gonna try first? The okra, the chaya, the dumpling. Gosh, gotta go for that okra. Gotta go for it. You can see it's very soft because I like mine very soft. Perfection. Perfection. All right, now we're gonna try the cassava dumpling. Look at that. Look at that. It's perfect, guys. Flour, water, and some mashed cassava. Perfect. Mm-hmm. Wow. So good. Oh, let me try the chai by itself now. Wow, I love, guys. The chaya is so good. It just tastes like it just sucks up all the flavor from the saltfish. It just, I mean, the texture is definitely thicker than callaloo or spinach. It's a more substantial texture. It's just wonderful. I love it. I really love this. It's so good to have this in the garden. I don't have to worry about any bugs. I have never seen any bugs attacked by chaya. And then to know all the benefits I'm getting. Oops, a little piece of scotch bonnet snuck in here. Let's try it with a scotch bonnet on it. Guys, this is perfection. Absolute perfection. Congrats again to the winners. Um, Maureen Williams guest with the chaya, and I can't remember who else guessed about the okra, but whew, guys, till next time, going out there, plant a seed, guys, whether it's okra or plant some chaya cuttings. I have the cuttings on my Etsy store, by the way. Cuttings grow very easily. You stick the cuttings in the ground and you have a big plant like what I have in no time. Plant a banana tree. You plant a banana and you harvest. They keep throwing up suckers. You keep getting more and more bananas. Cassava, once you plant it, you keep sticking the sticks in the ground and you always have food, guys. All from my backyard. Till next time, guys. Bye now.